Welcome to Soulful Jewish Living, Mindful Practices for Every Day, with me, Josh Feigelson. I'm grateful you're here, and I hope you benefit from our time together. My wife and I were watching the Netflix series The Diplomat the other night. You may be watching it too. It stars Keri Russell as Kate, a spy turned U.S. ambassador to the UK. As we were watching the first episode of the second season, there was a tiny little moment that caught my attention. Kate is in the middle of a crisis. Crises are one of the things that drive the show, of course. But in the midst of the crisis, she has a moment where she has to go into a hospital room to see someone she loves after a very serious incident and a lot of surgery. She doesn't know what's going to be on the other side of the door when she walks in. As she's about to enter the hospital room, we see her pause at the doorway, close her eyes, and take a deep breath. She's catching up with herself, taking a moment to calm her body, mind, and heart, and enter the room not as an ambassador managing an international incident, but as a human being who doesn't know how this person she loves is going to be when she crosses the threshold. The scene lasted all of a second, but I noticed it for a couple of reasons. First, it's a familiar scene from movies and TV shows. If you haven't noticed this kind of pause before leaving one emotionally charged situation before entering another before, keep your eyes open the next time you're viewing your favorite show or flick. It's a common device. But I also noticed it because it's frankly a very Jewish thing to do. What do I mean? Well, this is the next installment in our miniseries on daily rituals. We've covered rituals for the morning, from waking up through eating breakfast and getting out the door. Last week, we talked about taking mindful moments, microdosing Shabbat throughout the day at work or school. This week, I want to focus on this thing that Keri Russell does in that scene, which is something all of us do all the time between the moment we wake up and the moment we go to sleep. What is that? Moving around. Try to think for a moment how many rooms or buildings you go in and out of in the course of a day. I go from my bedroom to the bathroom, back through the bedroom and through the living room to the kitchen, then through a bunch more rooms until I finally make it out of the house. And once I'm out of the house, God knows how many buildings and rooms I enter and leave in the course of the day. Could be dozens. And that's to say nothing of the virtual spaces I go into and out of all the time. I tried just now looking at my browser history to figure out how many different websites I visited just on my computer, not even including my phone, and the number was too overwhelming. Let's just say it was a ton. I talked about this a little last week, but I want to reinforce it today. For so many of us, life today feels like it's constantly on the move, physically, in our bodies, and mentally and psychologically on our screens. Maybe that's what makes that scene with Keri Russell really stand out to me. In the midst of a show with so much kinetic energy, this image of a powerful, on-the-move, phone in her ear all the time person standing at the threshold, taking a breath, and trying to catch up with herself just felt really familiar. I was like, same, Keri, same. Maybe the reason for that is because it reminded me of one of our most common opportunities to practice a daily Jewish ritual, the mezuzah. That little object the Torah instructs us to hang on our doorposts. The mezuzah can be found on many Jewish homes, on synagogues, even on offices of buildings owned or rented by Jews. Inside the casing of the mezuzah is a hand-calligraphed scroll with the words of the Shema, one of our most sacred prayers, printed on it. And among those words are an instruction/invitation to be mindful of the oneness of the universe, capital O, capital U, all the time, and to put the words as a reminder on our gates and doorposts. I have a mezuzah on the front door of my house and on most of the other doors too, not the bathroom. I'll be honest, I am not nearly as mindful as I'd like to be when I pass by them. I know people who really make this a practice. They stop to touch the mezuzah and kiss their hand as they're walking through. And I think it's such a beautiful practice, a little moment of mindful awareness of going out and coming in, of crossing the threshold. It's basically taking that Carrie Russell moment much more frequently, not just when we go into a hospital room, but anytime we're changing spaces. So here's a practice for this week. Try to bring a little more awareness to the moments when you're going out or coming in, those moments when you're crossing the threshold. Maybe as you're about to leave your home in the morning, you can take a moment to center and be mindfully aware of where you are and where you're going. If you've got a mezuzah on your door, you can put your hand to it as you leave. Or at the end of the day, as you're standing outside the door to come home, you can take a few seconds just to touch the mezuzah, pause, breathe, center, and go inside your mind so that you can enter your home a little calmer and more focused. During the day, make an effort to be aware when you're entering or leaving a space, a classroom, a meeting room, an office, or a virtual space like a Zoom room or a browser window. If there's not a real mezuzah there, imagine yourself touching a virtual mezuzah. Take a beat to let your mind catch up with the rest of you, to recenter in your body, to be present and at home in this moment, and to sense a greater presence that's here and at home with you and within you. Blessings for the journey. Know that I'm on it with you. Thank you for joining us for Soulful Jewish Living, Mindful Practices for Every Day, a production of Unpacked, a division of OpenDor Media, and the Institute for Jewish Spirituality. This episode was sponsored by Jonathan and Corey Califer and the Somerset Patriots, the Bridgewater, New Jersey-based AA affiliate of the New York Yankees. If you like this show, subscribe, give us 5 stars, and write us a review on Apple Podcasts. Check out Jewish Unpacked for everything Unpacked related, and subscribe to our other podcasts, and check out the Institute for Jewish Spirituality. Most importantly, be in touch about what you heard today, what you'd like to hear more about, or to dedicate an episode. Write to me at josh@jewishnunpacked.com. This episode was hosted by me, Rabbi Josh Feigelson. Audio was edited by Rob Pera, and we're produced by Rifki Stern. Thanks for joining us.
Hey everybody, it's Elon Gold. Let's be honest, who doesn't need a good laugh right now? Oh, I know I do. Well, that's why I'm excited to invite you to my new podcast, Stars of David with Elon Gold. Join me and my co-host, the wonderful, the hilarious Eli Leonard, on Stars of David to dive into all the joys and, yes, quirks of Jewish life, together with some amazing, very special guests. Whether you need a laugh, a little kvetch, or some heartfelt conversations, Stars of David has you covered. Subscribe now to Stars of David wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube at Unpacked Podcasts.